Okay, so this is ridiculous. The Socialist Party came out with a tweet and an image, which I'll get to in a second, and it's pretty telling about how far gone they are. They say that a little time spent examining both systems, between capitalism and socialism, makes it obvious that a class-free society with production purely to meet needs will be far better. Well, that's just not true. I mean, it's fairly simple, honestly, and this may be an upsetting fact to someone who is a socialist, but it doesn't make it any less of a fact. And that is that not everyone is equal when it comes to economic activity. Not everyone is equal when it comes to production. Not everyone is equal when it comes to work ethic. Not everyone is equal when it comes to their skill level or what skills they have. Not everyone is equal when it comes to how much time they've spent being alive and the amount of experience they've acquired. Not everyone is equal when it comes to what they're willing to do to be productive. Not everyone is equal when it comes to how amiable and agreeable they are and how well they work with other people. Not everyone is equal in how efficient and organized they are. So a class-free society would mean that everyone with vastly different levels of value they put into the qualities I just listed are economically equal. But what is terrifying about that is that in order to get a system like that, unbelievable amounts of bloodshed would be required. Now, I could just say that the near entire history of socialistic or communistic society proves my point about the inevitable bloodshed, and I could leave it at that because it's 2019 after all. The amount of examples one could point to of tyranny and bloodshed from socialistic thinking is too numerous to recite. I mean, it's shocking how intertwined murder and socialism is. But like I said, I could just leave it at that, but I won't. I have to ask the question, what happens to someone who is on the positive side of all those qualities I listed before? Someone who is crushing it, grade A work ethic, constantly trying to better themselves, become more efficient, acquire more experience, etc. What happens when you tell that person that they are forbidden to have a better life than someone who wants to just coast through life and not take on too many stressful activities? Well, I'll tell you what'll happen. The government will have to come in and crush that highly productive, highly valuable person back down into submission. People will start noticing, hey, that person has a bit more than other people. I think there should be an investigation. And by the way, socialists like to say that they don't necessarily want a big government. Now, that's true as far as textbook socialism is concerned, but in order to squeeze everyone into a singular equal strata of society, when not everyone is equal in their values, work ethic, productivity, skills, etc., you will need a violent, oppressive organization to do so. And historically, that's what we call a government, so I'll stick with that term. And socialists delude themselves into thinking that that isn't how their social and economic engineering won't end up. It's just ridiculous how incapable they are of thinking these things through. But anyway, this Socialist Party also posted an image. Now, I obviously can't go through all of this stuff. There's just too much here, but I'll go through a few. The first one is that workers are exploited for profit. This is classic labor theory of value nonsense. There is no ubiquitous exploitation of the workers, and to say such a thing fails miserably in taking into consideration the immense risk that entrepreneurs and business owners take on, and that the workers do not have to worry themselves over. It fails to take into consideration the huge amount of costs that are on the shoulders of those who start up a business. And again, workers need not worry about this at all. It fails to take into consideration time preference, where if you're a laborer, if you do an hour of work, you're guaranteed that pay. You will receive a wage for that work. That guarantee does not exist for the entrepreneur or business owner. If they make poor decisions, or if things just don't go their way, they are not guaranteed an income. That is a huge advantage of being a worker. Again, to say such a thing seems to tell me that socialists have never actually known a business owner, let alone been one themselves. Next up is long hours for low pay. Okay, that's a possibility in one's life, but no one is sentenced to that for life. The vast majority of people, as they go through life, if they make half-decent decisions, end up in better economic circumstances in their 30s than what they had in their 20s, or in their 40s as opposed to their 30s. As screwed up as the United States is, because of the bloated and overbearing government, we still have a very healthy amount of economic economic mobility. It's horribly disingenuous to suggest that everyone is stuck where they are and they have no options. It's simply not a reflection of reality. Okay, and then there is unemployment. Now, I could say a lot about this one and get into a lot of specifics about where much of our unemployment comes from, namely being taxed to death, overregulated, and absurd price floors on wages, basically almost everything that government does. But one thing I will say about unemployment, and this might seem crazy, but becoming unemployed or being fired can sometimes, in the long run, be a significant net positive for someone. Sometimes some people need a kick in the rear end. You're late for work all the time, you're slacking off, you're too unorganized, your work is low quality, you're unreliable, you don't help out, you have no initiative. Telling someone like that they need never worry about losing their job would be a terrible way to have them grow as a professional or to grow as a productive, reliable person. It's often pointed out that employees of the federal government are generally terrible. They're unreliable, they don't care about their job, they don't care about helping you, they don't care about becoming more efficient. And one of the reasons for this is because it's notoriously difficult to be fired from government positions. So these socialists are telling us that not only do they think that employees should be difficult to fire, but that it should be impossible to fire them. I mean, after all, if they're saying that unemployment would be eradicated under socialism, then by definition you can never fire anyone. If they are fired, then they don't have a job. Or if they are fired, they will learn nothing, and the very next day they get to go work somewhere else, becoming a burden for someone else. The utopia that lives in the mind of a socialist must be really beautiful. I mean, to forego common sense and rational thought to push for this stuff, that must mean that they've been having some very nice daydreams, but that is all they are, and they really need to come back to us when they finally sober up. But that is all for now. Like, subscribe, and share this video, and take it easy, my friends.